on trying to encourage people to become devotees. But at the end of the classes, many times he would say, at least we should ask them to chant Hare Krishna. You know, he was trying to create a class of intelligent people, brahmanas, and of course the varnashram, you know, but his level of compassion was, he always said, at the end, if you listen to his classes, always, but at least try and encourage people to chant Hare Krishna. And he was really into really good prasadam. He wasn't into bad prasadam. He was into really good prasadam. He's the one that actually started the Sunday feast in New York. And he supported the devotees everywhere in making really good prasadam. And if it wasn't good, he would tell them about it, and he would help them increase the quality of the prasadam. He was really, really into good prasadam. He knew that people couldn't resist Krishna in the form of that form of prasadam, you know? So that's why we did so good here in Kalachandji's, because originally the chef was this very advanced Prabhupada disciple named Sunanda Das. And his cooking was so phenomenal, it just blew everybody's minds. People had to come here and eat. If you go in the hallway and read the food editor's notes, the first article that came out, we couldn't even make these things up. He said, when you come to Kalachandji's, drop your stereotypes, bring your appetites, and expect a spiritual experience. That's the food editor saying that. Expect a spiritual experience. So those articles would come out and the restaurant would just get flooded with people. And they come out, because there used to be newspapers, it wasn't online. So all the big newspapers would send their food editors, and they would all write these totally amazing reviews. So we were getting like busy and busy and busy. We were so busy. It was amazing. It was just so much preaching. We made so many devotees from the restaurant, you know, on different levels. People that are still now very favorable and devotees in their homes, but they became just from eating all the prasadam and coming to the temple room.
So what is your message for Varnashram going forward?
There's a lot of discussion right now about racial identification, and a lot of debates about people not wanting to be identified by some mundane limitation or whatever. But Krishna himself states what reality is, that we all have different qualifications, and that according to his division in the way that he created living beings, that there's certain kinds of people. There's the intellectual people, there's the administrators, there's the business people and the laborers, and then there's the artisans and so many other kinds of people. But they all fit within Krishna's description of Chaturvarnam Mayashristam Gunakarma Vibhagasha, the guna and karma, the work and the qualification. So we need to give people relief by helping them understand that there is a system already that we can fit into, we already fit into. But we have to learn about our own natures and our own qualities and understand how God already supplied a way to identify ourselves on the material platform and in the spiritual platform. It's difficult here in America because we've kind of divorced ourselves from agriculture here. There's less than 2%, way less than 2% of people who are farmers in America. It used to be 48% back in the, before World War II. And now all we have are these cities where people don't know what to do with themselves. So Varnashram is really like a not very easy concept for people to grasp, but we have to still help people appreciate their own natures. Like, certain devotees know astrology, but you can get to know people and what they like and all that, and help them understand how they fit into Krishna's system already, so they feel that there is some shelter somewhere, because in our capitalistic society, everybody gets pushed out if they don't have any facility. You know what I mean? They're rejected. They're kind of rejects in a sense, poor people. And, they're not treated with respect. Whereas in the Varnashram society, everybody has a purpose. Everybody has a real reason to live, to help in some way. So we have to learn how to relate what we know from Bhagavad Gita to help other people appreciate that there is some way for them to contribute valuably to society and to increase their spiritual value, to help them understand that they're very valuable spiritually as spirit souls. Prabhupada would give lectures and addresses when he would arrive in different places, and he would say, "Oh, it's so nice that so many parts and parcels have showed up today." He would even call them like that. So he gave people spiritual identity, which was very powerful. So we have to start with that. Our preachers have to start with that. That's the way Prabhupada started it, to give people a sense of spiritual identity. So to me, after hearing Prabhupada's lectures and so many, reading his books, we have to try to, of course, there's people who are qualified. So many folks from the Indian community, Lord Chaitanya said, whoever comes from India, they should spread Krishna consciousness. So now our temples are full of wonderful devotees from India. So I think that we need to start training more and more people how to preach in the West and how to incorporate what Krishna says as far as Varnashram, that verse, and other verses about the nature of the different people, the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Sudras, how to help people understand where they fit in and not have to artificially be pushed into something they're not interested in or qualified to be in. On all levels, Krishna consciousness is the solution to help people have real self-worth, not just some perverted form of self-worth, but actually connected to Krishna. That's reality. Reality means if we learn how to connect with Krishna's vision of what our actual self-worth is, then that's the most important thing, because that's reality.
So can Varnashrama happen in cities, or do we need to have a rural setting?
It has to start happening in the cities, because that's where everybody lives. There has to be some way to encourage people in their spiritual identities and their material identities. Naturally, of course, we'd love to have more farms. But we've seen in America, because society has divorced itself from farms, devotees have a really hard time with farms. There's not that many successful, self-sufficient farms in America. I don't think there's any, actually. They all have to be subsidized, and there's different, which is a fine, but we still have to learn how to grow our own food. Sarvajai Madhavi, you know him? He has a big piece of property in South Texas. There, for instance, everything grows there. It's like a tropical country, so everything grows really good there. So that, to me, that's a good step. Go to a place where it's warm all the time, and where everything grows all the time, pretty much. Got like an all-year-round growing season.
How about in Wolf City, where we have a couple of farms? So do you think that is feasible in Wolf City?
Devotees are doing it here in Dallas. There's several properties around, but we're not focusing on those. Eventually, we need to focus on having festivals there. And if we start having festivals at these properties, then it will give people a chance to get out of the city and feel more peaceful in the country. Because, for instance, Dallas is not a peaceful city. There's way too many people here now, and there's too much traffic. And it's just way too big now. So if we get a chance to get out of the city and go to the country for a festival, that's my own idea, because people will come if there's prashadam and kirtan,
But what kind of festival? Just kirtan or something more?
Whatever we can do. Kirtan's always good.
So we are on the cusp.
Along with the kirtan, we have to encourage to see if somebody will become interested in living in a situation or participating in that kind of life. It's hard here in America. Very, very hard. New Vrindavan's been there a long time. Gita Nagari's been there a long time. There's a couple of small projects who have been around for a while, but they haven't really New Taliban in Mississippi. And they're doing a little something there, but there's just not enough interest because America doesn't have that interest here, you know what I mean? People move here for money, they don't move here to farm, you know what I mean? So it's a difficult subject matter.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.